The Callisto Protocol is almost 3 years old now. To this day, the game has received a lot of criticism on both its technicality and its gameplay. Keeping a close ear to all of this has led me to avoid this game for a long time. But a time comes when you ask yourself, can it really be that bad? Well, prepare to smuggle some bizarre crates, 3D print some shit, and uncover life-threatening organisms, because we're headed to prison in space. Hi guys, this is Jay. The Callisto Protocol is developed by Striking Distance Studios. The game takes place in Black Iron Prison, a facility situated on Callisto, one of Jupiter's moons. Most of the story takes place inside, but you also get to explore parts of the exterior at some point. You play as Jacob Lee, a pilot who, along with his partner Max, are working for the United Jupiter Company, or UJC. During one of their supply runs to Callisto, they are boarded by a mysterious terrorist organization, and catastrophic events make them crash on the surface of the moon. From there, it's all downhill, as Jacob is taken inside the prison and processed as an inmate for reasons unknown to us. As he wakes up in his cell, he uncovers that the prison has lost all control on the inmates and that something terribly wrong is going on. The Callisto Protocol is a story-driven survival horror game where you will fight, sneak, and scavenge your way through the levels. The main game loop goes like this. You learn something that can help you escape and make your way towards this objective. On the way there, you scavenge for items and fight off the enemies that block your way. You will also usually find a reforger, where you can upgrade your arsenal. Once the task is completed, you rinse and repeat. This might sound boring when explained like this, but it's actually really well done and entertaining. The combat is really different from what we're used to see in this genre. It consists in dodging enemies' attack by holding left or right, and then fighting an opening to strike them back with a combo of attacks. So yes, the emphasis is on melee combat, a system that a lot of people seem to have a problem with, but we'll come back to that later. Apart from the melee weapon, you also have access to a not so varied selection of ranged weapons. Different kinds of pistol, a shotgun, and an assault rifle. That's about it. These weapons can be used to quickly dispose of enemies, and a shot can even be chained at the end of a melee combo for some added punch. Apart from the lack of variety, I found the ranged weapon to be quite satisfying. The feedback on them was good, and I was always looking forward to upgrading them. On the more special side, you have at your disposal the grip, or GRP, a device that allows you to take control of objects and living beings at a distance. You can then propel them in the direction of your choice. This tool has limited energy, but is very useful to save ammo or take down enemies quickly. It is also upgradable. If you are familiar with survival games, you know that combat is only half of the battle. The amount of stuff you scavenge and your ability to save ammo and resources for when you need them most is paramount. Since you can sell everything, being efficient with your ammo and healing supplies means that you can afford more upgrades faster. This is something that I found to be really enjoyable here. I felt that my ability to settle encounters in an effective way was always rewarded. On the visual side, the game is absolutely beautiful. The effects and details you see all around you at all times are incredible. You can feel the huge amount of work that went into making the environment feel realistic and alive. The same goes with the environmental storytelling. Everywhere you go, you can picture the horrible things that happen. For me, this isn't a really scary game per se, but I could still feel this tension and the pressure, which made the experience more immersive. As mentioned before, the Callisto Protocol received and is still receiving a lot of criticism. On the technical side, people complain about bad performance like frame rate drops and crashes. Some even lost their save game entirely, losing hours worth of progress. These problems are unfortunate, and I even experienced them myself. But in my eyes, these kinds of things do not dictate if a game is good or not. They are problems that need to be resolved, sure, but they are not a critical flaw in the game design, the game loop, or the storytelling, for example. The biggest complaint is probably related to the game loop and the combat system. This concept of dodging and then striking back has gotten a lot of people displeased, to the point where this fighting system has been called turn-based, predictable, and even boring. The guns have also been said to be boring and lacking variety. Some say that the story is uninspired and lazy. From my point of view, most of these complaints come from a single source: comparison. Which, as a human being, is normal to do, don't get me wrong. The Callisto Protocol is most of the time compared with Dead Space, and with reason, as the setting, the vibe, and even the game loop to some extent are very similar. But you could also set it side by side with other survival horror games, like Resident Evil for example. All of this is fine. Where things start to complicate themselves is when you let those comparisons tailor your entire experience in a brand new game. This is where you need to take a step back and let yourself experience this title as a single entity, not as a Dead Space competitor or the best survival horror game you've ever played. Because if you play the Callisto Protocol with one of these mindsets, you are bound to be disappointed. Play the game with as little expectations as possible and get your head in this universe. I, myself, am a Dead Space fan, and rather than comparing every single design choice in the game to Dead Space, I took it for what it was. Something that is different, something that is new, something that can definitely be appreciated. Then, if the game is not for you, then that is also okay. Nobody is forcing you to enjoy a particular title. So if you don't like it for whatever reasons, this is completely fine. What I am saying is don't miss out on a potentially good experience because of your expectations and comparisons. That is all. For me, the melee combat was satisfying, if a bit simple. The ranged weapons felt good to use and the survival/management aspects were very present. All of this mixed together made me experience something familiar and yet different. The astonishing visuals and the ambience are also things that made me enjoy the experience. The only problem I had with combat is that sometimes its heavy emphasis on animations can really mess up the gameplay. What I mean by that is that when there are multiple enemies, you can get stuck in a chain of animations and there's really nothing you can do. This feels bad, and it takes away the agency of the player. Nonetheless, I was always looking forward to explore new areas, fight new enemies, discover new gear, and so on. And that, for me, makes the Callisto Protocol a good game. At the end of the day, the devs at Striking Distance Studios made some bold choices for a game that is set in a very competitive genre. That alone for me is commendable. Is the Callisto Protocol the best survival horror game ever made? No. Is it the evolution or the replacement of Dead Space? No. But it is something that you can definitely enjoy and get immersed in. And with that, I'm sure you now understand why the Callisto Protocol is so hated and yet so good. What do you think of this game? Did you manage to enjoy it amidst all the criticism? Let me know your opinion in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself, and I definitely look forward to seeing you when we take the next step in our odyssey.